February, the month most people ignore, but successful people don't. Opening, grabbing attention. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to start with a question that might seem simple, but I want you to really think about it. What's special about February? Most people will say, well, it's the shortest month. Some might mention Valentine's Day. A few might talk about leap years. But here's what I've discovered after years of studying successful people, entrepreneurs, leaders, and high achievers. While most people treat February as just another month to get through, successful people see it completely differently. They see it as a golden opportunity that everyone else is sleeping on. Think about it. Right now, as we speak, millions of people have already abandoned their New Year's resolutions. The gym memberships they bought in January, barely used. The books they promised to read, still sitting on the shelf. The business ideas they were so excited about on January 1st, already forgotten. But here's the truth that separates the dreamers from the doers. February is not the month where your goals die. February is the month where your true commitment is tested. And that's exactly what successful people are looking for. The February phenomenon, let me share something with you. In January, everyone is motivated. The New Year energy is real. Fresh starts, clean slates, new beginnings, it's all very exciting, but motivation is cheap. Motivation is everywhere in January. You can't throw a rock without hitting someone who's motivated to change their life. February, though. February reveals the truth. February shows you who you really are. It's cold, it's short. It's that awkward month between the excitement of new beginnings and the promise of spring. And that's precisely why successful people love it. I remember talking to a self-made millionaire once, and she told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Show me what you do in February, and I'll tell you where you'll be in December." That hit me like a ton of bricks. Because she's right. February is the filter. It's nature's way of separating those who are serious from those who are just playing around. Why people ignore February? So why do most people ignore February? Why do they treat it like a throwaway month? I've identified several reasons, and I want you to see if any of these resonate with you. First, there's the letdown effect. January ends, and with it goes all that New Year energy. The confetti has been swept up. The champagne bottles are in the recycling. Reality sets in. The initial excitement wears off, and people realize that real change requires real work. So they give up. They tell themselves maybe next year. Second, there's the weather factor. In many parts of the world, February is cold, dark, and dreary. Seasonal affective disorder is real. People feel sluggish. They want to hibernate. It's easier to stay in bed than to hit the gym. It's easier to order takeout than to meal prep. The environment itself seems to be working against your goals. Third, there's the short month syndrome. Because February is shorter, people unconsciously deprioritize it. They think it's only 28 days. What difference can I really make? They use the brevity of the month as an excuse for inaction. They tell themselves they'll get serious in March. Fourth, there's decision fatigue. By February, people have already made and broken several promises to themselves. They've already had a few cheat days that turned into cheat weeks. They've already missed some workouts, skipped some reading sessions, procrastinated on important tasks. And each broken promise chips away at their self-confidence. They start thinking, who am I kidding? I'm not the type of person who can do this. And finally, there's the comparison trap. Social media is filled with people showing their January transformations, their progress photos, their wins. And if you haven't made as much progress, it's easy to feel like you're already too far behind. So instead of continuing the race, people just quit. They convince themselves it's not worth trying anymore. what successful people do differently in February, but here's where it gets interesting. While most people are using these as excuses to quit, successful people are using February as a launching pad. Let me break down exactly what they do differently. They embrace the difficulty. Successful people don't run from February's challenges, they run toward them. They understand that easy months create weak habits, but difficult months create strong character. When everyone else is slowing down, they're speeding up. When everyone else is making excuses, they're making progress. I know a CEO who schedules his most important strategic planning sessions in February. Why? Because he knows his competition is slacking off. While others are coasting, he's plotting. While others are comfortable, he's preparing. By the time March comes around, he's already miles ahead. They use the 28-day sprint mentality. Instead of seeing February as too short to matter, successful people see it as the perfect length for a focused sprint. 28 days is long enough to build a habit, but short enough to stay intensely focused. They pick one or two critical goals and attack them with everything they've got. Think about it. What could you accomplish if you gave 100% to one goal for 28 straight days? No distractions, no excuses, just pure focused action. That's the February opportunity that most people miss. They track and measure obsessively. February is when successful people double down on their metrics. They know that what gets measured gets managed. They're weighing themselves, tracking their revenue, counting their pages read, logging their workouts, monitoring their progress religiously. Why? Because data doesn't lie. Data keeps you honest, and in February, when motivation is low, data becomes your North Star. They build their February muscle. Here's something most people don't understand. Success isn't about being great when things are easy. Anyone can work hard when they're excited. Anyone can stay disciplined when everything's going well. The real test is, can you keep going when it's hard? Can you stay committed when you don't feel like it? That's the February muscle, and it's the most important muscle successful people develop. They ignore the noise. While everyone else is talking about why February is hard, successful people are too busy working to complain. They're not on social media lamenting the weather. They're not in group chats making excuses. They've learned to put their head down and do the work regardless of circumstances. Real stories of February success. Let me give you some real examples of what I'm talking about. There's a writer I know who committed to writing 1,000 words every single day in February. Just 28 days, that's 28,000 words, roughly a third of a novel. While other aspiring writers were waiting for inspiration to strike, she was building a body of work. By the end of February, she had the foundation of her book. By the end of the year, she had a published novel. I know an entrepreneur who used February to validate his business idea. Instead of spending months in planning paralysis like most people, he gave himself 28 days to talk to 100 potential customers. Just have conversations, get feedback, test his assumptions. By March 1st, he knew whether his idea had legs. Most importantly, he had a list of 100 people who were interested in what he was building. While his competitors were still thinking about starting a business, he was already in motion. There's a fitness coach who runs a February challenge every year. She knows that this is when most people quit their fitness goals. So she creates a supportive community, adds accountability, and makes February the month where people prove to themselves that they can do hard things. Her success rate: over 80% of participants who make it through February continue their fitness journey for the rest of the year. Because once you've survived February, everything else feels easier. The compound effect of February focus. Here's what's beautiful about taking February seriously: the compound effect. When you refuse to quit in February, You build momentum that carries you through the entire year. You prove to yourself that you're the type of person who keeps commitments even when it's hard. You develop discipline, resilience, and mental toughness that pays dividends in every area of your life. Think of it like this. If you can stay committed in February, March feels like a breeze. April becomes exciting because you're seeing real results. By summer, you're in a completely different place than the person who quit in early February. And by the end of the year, you're looking back at a year of consistent progress instead of a year of false starts and broken promises. The math is simple but powerful. Let's say you improve just 1% every day in February. That's 28 days of 1% improvement. According to the compound effect, you're not just 28% better, you're exponentially better. Small, consistent improvements compound into remarkable results. February is your competitive advantage. Here's a secret that successful people know. February is your competitive advantage. While 90% of people are quitting, you can be in the 10% that's pushing forward. While the masses are making excuses, you can be making progress. While everyone else is waiting for conditions to be perfect, you can be working with what you have right now. In business, in fitness, in learning, in relationships, every area of life rewards those who show up consistently, especially when it's hard. And February is hard. That's why it's valuable. Think about any competitive field. The winners aren't the most talented, they're the most consistent. They're the ones who trained when it was cold. They're the ones who practiced when they didn't feel like it. They're the ones who kept going when everyone else quit. Practical strategies for February success. So how do you actually do this? How do you become one of the few who doesn't ignore February? Let me give you some concrete strategies. Strategy 1. Pick your one thing. Don't try to change everything in February. Pick the one goal that would make the biggest difference in your life. Maybe it's your health, your business, your relationships, your skills. Whatever it is, make it your obsession for 28 days. Give it everything you've got. Strategy 2. Create non-negotiables. Decide on the minimum viable action, the smallest thing you can do every single day that moves you toward your goal. Maybe it's 20 minutes of exercise, 30 minutes of learning, one sales call, one page written. Whatever it is, make it non-negotiable. No matter what happens, you do that thing. Strategy 3. Build accountability. Find someone who will hold you accountable. Share your goal publicly. Join a group of like-minded people. Create consequences for not following through. Make it harder to quit than to continue. Strategy 4. Track everything. Get a calendar and mark an X for every day you complete your non-negotiable action. Watch the chain of X's grow. This simple visual representation of your consistency is incredibly powerful. Don't break the chain. Strategy 5. Prepare for the dip. There will be days probably around mid-February where you really don't want to continue. Expect this. Plan for it. Write yourself a letter now explaining why this goal matters to you. When the motivation dips, read that letter. Strategy 6. Celebrate small wins. Don't wait until the end of February to celebrate. Acknowledge every single day you show up. Every workout completed, every page written, every sale made, every healthy meal chosen. These are victories. Treat them as such. Strategy 7. Adjust. Don't quit. If something isn't working, it's okay to adjust your approach. But there's a huge difference between adjusting and quitting. Adjusting means you're still committed to the goal, but changing the method. Quitting means you're abandoning the goal entirely. Successful people adjust constantly. Unsuccessful people quit at the first sign of difficulty. The psychology of February. Let's talk about what's happening psychologically in February. Understanding this will help you navigate the challenges. By February, the novelty has worn off. Psychologists call this the novelty effect. We're naturally excited by new things, but that excitement fades over time. In January, your new routine felt fresh and exciting. By February, it's just routine, and routines can feel boring. But here's what successful people understand. Boring is where the magic happens. Boring is where discipline is built. Boring is where character is forged. The sexy part of success is the results. The boring part is the daily work. And you can't have one without the other. There's also something called temporal discounting, our tendency to value immediate rewards over future benefits. In February, the future benefits of your efforts still seem far away. The immediate comfort of quitting feels very attractive. Successful people combat this by creating immediate rewards for themselves. They gamify their progress. They make the daily work itself rewarding, not just the end result. February and identity. Here's perhaps the most important insight about February. It's not really about the goals you achieve. It's about the identity you build. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Every time you show up in February when you don't feel like it, you're voting for your identity as a disciplined person. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're building self-trust. And this is crucial because long-term success isn't about motivation or willpower, it's about identity. When working out becomes part of who you are, you don't need motivation to go to the gym. When entrepreneur becomes your identity, you don't need willpower to work on your business. It's just what you do because it's who you are. February is identity building season. While most people are weakening their identity through broken promises, you can be strengthening yours through kept commitments. The opportunity cost of ignoring February. Let's talk about what you lose when you ignore February. It's not just 1 month, it's the ripple effect through your entire year. If you quit in February, you're essentially writing off 11 months of potential progress. Because if you can't follow through in February, what makes you think March will be different, or April, or any other month? The patterns you set in February tend to repeat throughout the year. Moreover, you're reinforcing a negative pattern in your brain. You're teaching yourself that it's okay to quit when things get hard. You're building a quitter's identity instead of a finisher's identity. And that pattern will show up in every area of your life. The opportunity cost is enormous. Imagine where you could be by next February if you start taking this February seriously. Imagine the skills you could develop, the business you could build, the health you could achieve, the relationships you could strengthen. All of that starts with refusing to ignore February. February for different goals. Let me break down how to approach February for different types of goals. For fitness goals, February is when you prove that your fitness journey isn't just a new year's fad. This is when you establish whether you're someone who works out occasionally or someone who is genuinely committed to their health. Use February to solidify your routine, even if it means shorter workouts. Consistency trumps intensity in February. For business goals, February is market research and relationship building month. While your competition is slowing down, you're doubling down on customer conversations, refining your offer, and building partnerships. This is also when you should be analyzing your January results and course correcting before too much time passes. For learning goals, February is when you transform from a casual learner to a serious student. Set a specific learning target. Maybe it's finishing one book, completing one online course, or mastering one new skill. Make it concrete and achievable within 28 days. For financial goals, February is budget review and optimization month. You've had 1 month of the year to see where your money actually goes. Now you can create a realistic plan based on real data. This is also a great month to automate your savings and investments, so you don't have to rely on willpower for the rest of the year. For relationship goals, February might seem like it's all about romantic relationships because of Valentine's Day, but successful people use this month to strengthen all their important relationships, schedule coffee meetings, send thoughtful messages, be present with family. While everyone else is focused on one day, Valentine's Day, you're building connection all month long. The February challenge, so here's what I want to propose. Take the February challenge. Commit to treating this February different from every February you've had before. Commit to being in the 10% who doesn't quit. Commit to using these 28 days to prove to yourself what you're capable of. Here's specifically what I'm challenging you to do. Choose one goal that truly matters to you. Write it down. Make it specific and measurable. Identify your daily non-negotiable action. What's the one thing you can do every day that will move you toward that goal? Find an accountability partner or system. Tell someone about your commitment. Track your progress every single day. Use a calendar, a journal, an app, whatever works for you. Commit to not quitting for 28 days, no matter what. Even if you have a bad day, even if you miss once, you get back on track immediately. At the end of February, reflect on what you've learned about yourself. The bigger picture, let me zoom out for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. This isn't really about February. This is about how you approach challenges in life. This is about who you become when things get difficult. Life is full of Februaries, those difficult middle periods where the excitement has worn off, but the results aren't yet visible. The middle of a degree program, the second year of a business, the months after starting a new relationship, when the honeymoon phase ends, the years of parenting when kids are in challenging phases. How you handle these Februaries of life determines your success. People who achieve great things aren't those who avoid difficulty, they're those who push through it. They are those who show up consistently